kits and DIY, and that's where you'll works exactly what I used to fix that printer yesterday.
We saw one of those in Huntsville. In fact, you pointed it out to me. It looks like an electric toothpick.
Yeah, it's really small and really worthwhile, and that is featured in the August issue of CQ magazine.
In the kit column, oddly enough.
That's right. Every month you'll see it.
Now, I just have to point this out. Brian is in the background doing the show for us, of course. He just got a soldering iron. So, Brian, you were taking notes, right? Out there that will build your first CW, which I think Gordo had one earlier tonight. So, any suggestions?
In fact, this same company, Nightfire Electronics, has a kit that will produce a code practice oscillator. You can hook it to a speaker or headphones, and it's similar in size to this board and pretty similar in component count, so it can be put together pretty easily. A code practice oscillator serves two purposes. One, you're going to build something yourself that works, and so that gives you a pretty good sense of accomplishment, and then the next accomplishment is learning to code with the kit.
Okay, thank you so much for that, you guys. I hope that's very helpful for you. A couple more questions here. Any word on Heathkit? There's a lot of chatter in the chat room. Someone else is possibly opening up Heathkit in that name. Are they resurrecting? Do you know anything about it?
Well, what I know is that it shows up about every year, except for this last year, on Christmas on Facebook. And they have a Facebook page and a web page, and that's about it. They took an online survey and so forth, and then they did a Reddit Ask Me Anything. I think they call it an AMA chat, and I was in on that. But I'm not holding my breath. When the first Heathkit shows up in my mailbox and on my bench for me to put together, then I'll believe it. But other than that, there's not much really to say, because as far as I'm concerned, it really doesn't exist till we see a kit.
Exactly.
That's funny. All right, well, thank you so much for that. And K7AGE, he had to throw a question in there. So when you're wiring toroids, do you wire them clockwise or counterclockwise when you wind them?
Well, what I tend to do is I look to see where the leads are going to end up on the toroid so that they're not crossing when you mount it on the board. So if you look to see a picture of the finished kit and see which way it's wound for that particular use, that's the way I do it. So I look to see where the holes are on the board for that particular lead. If it's a 2-lead one or a 4-lead one or so forth, then just make it match.
Okay. Sounds great. Well, you know, I've been asking questions, so if there were any other questions that came in during that time, I didn't catch them. But, Joe, really nice to have you on tonight. Thank you so much for all your demonstrations.
Always enjoy it, and I've always got more to show and more fun building kits.
And we're going to try to get Joe back on more often, and maybe, I don't know, I'm gonna lobby to the powers that be about maybe getting this to be a regular thing, because Joe is just such a wealth of information and knowledge that you have, and you're so gracious in sharing with anyone who asks. So You'll find Joe's contact information in CQ Magazine in the kit building column. So by all means, send Joe an email if you have any questions, and he'll be more than happy to answer you. All right, let's talk about the nets tonight. Where are the nets? 38-47, I think, is probably a good bet. George, any idea where the HF nets are? I know where the digital nets are. We've got 355-800 on Echolink. That's the Star Drop-In Star. We've got 14 Charlie on D-Star tonight. Those are probably going right now. What about the HF nets? Any idea?
No really good idea, Don. Just typically somewhere around 72, 78 is where you find the 40 net. Somewhere around 14.268 is where you'll find the 20-meter net. Just go on those frequencies and tune up or down a little bit.
Yep.
You'll find a pile
You'll
up
find
there.
it.
Yep. Oh, one other thing before we go, Don, I just wanted to show you my other piece of test equipment I got.
Oh, I haven't seen one of those in forever.
Specifically for dealing with you, it's a butt set.
What are you trying to say? No, on second thought, don't answer that question because I think I know. I haven't seen one of those in forever. Wow, good stuff. All right, so Joe said he's going to hang out in the chat room tonight, so if you have questions, by all means, pose them to George, and Amanda always sends us a transcript of the chat room, so Amanda, if you're going to hang out and keep that going as long as you can, send that to us, and Joe, if you put any links in the chat room, we'll be sure to get it to Dan Van Evenhoven, who does the Ham Nation Wiki, where you'll find detailed information about what's going on each episode after the show, and that's a great resource to go through to find out some things like, what did they talk about? Oh, it's in the wiki. Let's go and see what that is. He posts all the links and everything. And so, Dan, thank you so much for that. So I think we've just about exhausted our time tonight, and man, it has gone by so fast. Joe Eisenberg, K0RADB, thank you so much for being on Ham Nation tonight and sharing your kit building knowledge, and thanks for being my roommate in Huntsville. That was a lot of fun.
We had a great time, and we'll do it again.
Absolutely we will. We got to figure out where we're going to go for a side trip. You know, we went to Jack Daniels a couple of years ago, and that was a lot of fun. We enjoyed that. So Amanda, thank you for being here. Gordon, thank you for being here. George, any final parting words for the Symbol throng?
Well, no, just I would say get the soldering iron out, get it hot, melt some solder this week on something. Doesn't really matter what it is as long as it's not your leg.
Well, yeah. Try to keep that to a minimum. All right. So, again, Joe, thanks for being here tonight, and thanks to all you in the chat room and all you watching live and the many, many more of you who watch us recorded and listen to us and everything. We appreciate you. We could not do this without you, and quite frankly, we wouldn't be able to do it without you, and we wouldn't want to do it without you. So get out and build something. It's kid building tonight on Ham Nation and the Hamfest recap. So 73 from South Mississippi and Jackson and Nebraska and California and Colorado and wherever you may be. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
need to read which stirs the very souls of men is more evident in the present era of progress than ever before. Publishers, bookstores, and newsstands pour out thousands of books, magazines, and newspapers every day to inform, instruct, and amuse. The greater part of these printed materials are made possible by various types of mechanical typesetting. Machines which set type up in lines, cast from molten metal, first introduced at the close of the last century, are now the most widely used. Automatic typesetting of complete lines. These are the intertype and linotype machines, which are essentially the same, except only in the vast assortment of models designed to perform the particular needs of various types of special jobs. These composing machines produce typecast in complete lines or slugs. Here is a slug or line of type turned out by these machines. The lines of type, properly arranged, make up the page from which, after inking, the imprint or proof is made. The function of the keyboard composing machine is to produce the essential materials required to prepare a form for printing. But before going into details, let's first get a general view of the whole picture. The operator, depressing the keys, releases matrices from the magazine channels. The matrices are delivered to the assembling elevator in the correct sequence. Here's a close-up of some mats. You can see the letter that has been punched or engraved into which the molten type metal is going to be injected. Let's note particularly the two punched characters, one Roman in style and the other italic. The small lugs and the ears which guide the mat through the various passages and assure the alignment of the letters. Having completed the composition of the line of matrices, the operator sends it over to the casting mechanism. Now the line of matrices is in position for the slug to be cast. Against the opening of this mold, the mat will fit perfectly. Immersed in the crucible, the plunger injects the molten type metal into the mold and against the matrix characters. The metal solidifies, forming letters and symbols in relief. Then the slugs are carried into position to be ejected from the mold and stacked, one after another, as they are ejected. Meanwhile, the first elevator rises, and the second elevator descends to meet it at the transfer channel. The matrices are transferred to the second elevator and raised to the distributor.